What's up, tennis fans? Sleepy Picks here. We had some quarterfinals complete at the Marrakech Open. Let's take a look at the draw. And here's a look at Darderi's half of the draw. We have Darderi got a walkover from Hanfmann. Obviously, we talked about that yesterday. I was so disappointed. I was really hoping that we would get that match. I thought Hanfmann would be able to maybe get the better of Darderi, at least push him a lot. The last time they played was in the Chile Open, 7-6, 7-5 win for Darderi, as close as it gets. And we always know revenge factor, extremely important when you're looking at these matches, especially when they happen about a month later. So always got to be aware of those matches. I thought it was going to be a tough match. Unfortunately, Hanfmann had to withdraw because of illness. So Darderi advances to the semifinals. He's going to take on the Cinderella of the tournament, Trungelliti, and Trungelliti able to get through Roca, Moutet the 5th seed, and now Moutet the 3rd seed. And that Moutet match was a little bit disappointing in my opinion because Moutet had control of the match for the first set and a half, and he was doing exactly what we were talking about, using his drop shot, challenging the up and back movement of Trungelliti, and it got to the point, I think it was 3-2 in the second set, and Moutet hits a lob. Trungelliti runs back, hits a backhand passing shot, looks like he's not going to get the ball, is able to get it, hit a passing shot on Moutet, and that kind of loosened him up a little bit to where he was able to play a little bit more aggressively. He gets the break, and then holds on to win the second set. And then a lot of back and forth in the third set. Trungelliti goes up a break. Moutet breaks back. And honestly, when he did that, you thought oh, this match is going to be over. It's all Moutet's. And then Trungelliti breaks him at love. And a lot of those points during the break games that against Moutet, they were a lot of Moutet's errors, ending on a double fault to give back the break to Trungelliti, and Moutet throwing his racket, obviously clearly frustrated, and I would be too. It's a very tough match. You feel like you are the better player, but your shots just aren't going in the way that you want them to that day. So tough match for Moutet. Trungelliti able to beat him and get the upset 4-6. 6-3, 6-4. Now let's take a look at this Darderi Trungelliti match. And the one thing we're going to give to Trungelliti, obviously he's had 7 hours now on court. Sorry, that was with the Moutet match. I believe it's a little over 7 hours. Oh no, it's 7 hours including the Moutet match. So 7 hours on court, and now he's got to go up against the best clay quarter in the draw, the defending champion, Luciano Darderi. We did talk about, though, this record of Trungelliti, 12-1 on the clay. Yes, they've been on challengers, but he's found success on the clay. And again, today showed it. He just doesn't know how to lose. You don't see him getting down on himself. He's figuring ways out. Moutet is a much different style than Moutet, and Trungelliti has figured out how to beat both of them. Can he figure out how to beat Darderi? That is the question. I really don't think so. I think Darderi's a little bit higher class than those two guys on the clay for sure. Darderi's sitting at 8-2 on the clay this year, 30-11 last year, including a win here in Marrakech. 34-15 in 2024, 45-27 in 2023. Trungelliti not too far behind, 12-1 on the clay. That's better than Darderi this year. 42-19 last year, 31-15 the year before, and 30-19 the year before that. So pretty close records. We know this is Trungelliti's favorite surface. He's now cracked the top 100. And again, we talked about, the pressure's kind of off for him. Now he's playing the 1 seed. He's just going to go out, and if he wins, that's a huge bonus for him. If he loses, he made it to the semis. That's still a great tournament for him. I always fear these matches because I think you're either going to get one or the other. You're either going to get one, he's going to get rolled by Darderi. Darderi's going to be too high of a class. It's going to be like a 2-2. or you're going to get two where he kind of pushes Darderi because he's playing this fearless tennis that we just mentioned, and he's able to take a set and really make Darderi think about it. And then you have the pressure moments where who's going to be the better guy in those moments. Today, it was Trungelliti over Moutet for sure. I'm going to go with Darderi. I think he's going to win in straights. I think the magic's going to run out here a little bit for Trungelliti. No head-to-head for these guys. I'm not sure if we said that or not yet. But this is a great start to the clay season for both of these guys. But I think Darderi is going to keep it going. He's going to make it into the finals. Give me Darderi in straight sets. And the second semifinal is Rafael Jodar taking on Camilo Ugo Carabelli. And let's talk about Jodar's path to the semis here. Beating Lajovic 6-3, 6-4. That was a nice win. Lajovic coming out of the qualifiers, so had a little bit of familiarity with the clay surface. Jodar able to beat him in straights. Then a tough match against Thomas Mahatch. Mahatch, the seeded player, getting the bye. Jodar able to take care of him in 3 sets. And then he just played Muller today, and unfortunately Muller not really feeling that great. We kind of saw a little bit of it in the middle of the first set and then towards the end. And then in the second set, he was barely even moving, just missing a lot of balls. He retired. He cited illness, so he wasn't feeling 100% today, which is a little bit unfortunate. He was playing good tennis, so we were hoping to see a little bit more from him in this match, especially like Muller with a little bit more clay court prowess than maybe a Lajovic does, to see kind of what Jodar could do against a guy like that. But we're going to see that tomorrow against Carabelli, how Jodar is going to match up against a solid clay court player. Let's take a look at Carabelli's path to the semifinals. Beats Skatov in 3 sets, 6-7, 6-3, 6-4. Beats Buse, that's a nice win in 3 sets. And then beats Van Assche in 3 sets. And guys, that Van Assche match, it looked like he was all but out of it. And you got to give Carabelli a lot of credit. 6-0, and Van Assche with points to break, to make it, to go up a break in the first game of the second set, and Carabelli is just fighting tooth and nail to hang on, and he gets that hold, gives out like a big roar, and is able to just turn the match around. What we saw a little bit more was Carabelli being slightly more offensive with the ball, and Van Assche doesn't play that great defensively. When Van Assche is inside the court, he's extremely dangerous. Very solid, hits very cleanly. The forehand is something to be reckoned with. And we talked about at the beginning of this tournament how this is a good tournament for Van Assche to kind of announce himself to the rest of the tour and maybe get some recognition and get some wild cards into some of these other tournaments, which I hope we'll be able to see, because I think he can pull some upsets. I think he's gonna get a wild card into the French Open, so I'll be very interested to see who he draws, and that's gonna be a tricky matchup. So we gotta look out for that. Tuck that in the back of our heads, that Van Assche could be a dangerous floater in that draw. Carabelli just able to take care of him, and then in the third set, he was able to just dominate a lot of those shots. Van Assche missing a little bit too much. It felt like the power from the Van Assche forehand was kind of starting to dissipate a little bit, and Carabelli just doing everything, coming into net, just really rushing Van Assche, making him uncomfortable on the surface. And we saw, Carabelli, why he's such a good clay court player. He's 10-3 now on the clay, so we saw exactly why that is. Just a very solid match from him to get through that. Wasn't playing his best tennis, but found a way to win over a solid player. Jodar's only played the 3 matches here. As we talked about with Carabelli, able to make the quarterfinals of Buenos Aires, losing to Sebi Baez. Lost in the first round of Rio to Burruchaga. Burruchaga still alive over in Houston. And then Carabelli losing in the second round to Hanfmann in the Chile Open. And you remember that. We've talked about that before. Hanfmann making it to the finals of that tournament. So not a lot of bad losses here for Carabelli. Jodar is still an unknown for us on the clay. I did say at the beginning of this tournament, I thought just because of the Spanish background that he would have some type of familiarity playing some tournaments on the clay. Obviously, a guy of his caliber, and he went to college. He would be a little bit more focused on the hardcore playing. So maybe back in earlier juniors, he was able to get some experience on the clay. But we talk about he's only 13-8 right now. That's with those 3 wins counted in there. So only 13-8 right now on the clay, compared to 40-17 on the hard courts, 17-4 on indoor hard courts. So he's played a lot more on the hard courts, and definitely it looks like he prefers that surface slightly more. But here we were able to see him dictate against Muller. Even though Muller not really moving that great, Jodar just able to win a bunch of big points. And against Mahatch, he won all the tough points, deuce and 30 all points. He really held on and held off some break points. He really stepped up to the plate. Carabelli, on the other hand, we know this is his preferred surface. This is a really difficult one for me. We got Carabelli has 7.5 hours on court. Jodar with only 3 hours and 50 minutes. That might be a break point for me. Carabelli has not played in Marrakech before. Jodar has not played in Marrakech before. So this is both these guys' first time playing here in this tournament. They're in the semifinals. One guy's going to be able to go to the finals. This is a toss-up for me. I mean, you might as well just flip a coin here and and choose between these two guys. I'm going to go with Jodar. I think this is going to be a tough 3-set match. I want to see Jodar get out of here. I want to see him play Darderi, and then we can decide how Jodar looks on the clay. But give me Rafael Jodar to win this match in 3 sets over Carabelli. And here's a quick look at our quarterfinal records. 2-1. I didn't want to count the Darderi walkover. We did pick him to win that match, but I'm not counting a walkover. Maybe if he won that match, we would have been 3-1. Maybe if he lost, we would have been 2-2. But yeah, that's why we're missing a match there. So 2-1 on our records. Not too bad on the day. We'll see how we do in the semifinal. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your picks in the comments. Share the video. We have another video out for the Houston Open. We have another video out for the Bucharest Open. And I just did a 1-hour-long draw reaction of the Monte Carlo draw that was released today. So definitely look at that. Watch that. Can't wait for that tournament. I can't believe we're already at Monte Carlo. It feels like the year is flying by. But take a look at all those videos to keep up on everything tennis. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next video.